Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll Podcast. My name is Ryan.
And I am.
And I'm Jarrett, this week's special guest.
This month, the permanent special guest. At this point, you've been on the show more than anybody but us. I'm positive. Maybe Stella.
Yeah, Stella gets on a bunch because she does a bunch of games with you guys.
Yeah, she is our third for the Weekly Scroll APs, like designated member of the show. I've been trying to get some stuff. Did I send you a pin?
No, I didn't get any.
I had another thing that I was trying to get finished made, and then when I do, I'll send you. We got new enamel pins made. I'll send you one. But cool. But this is episode 201 for us, because now every episode is just going to be in sequential order, since our 200 was our last one. So welcome, first guest in the 200s, Jarrett, Crader of Space Penguin Inc.
Congratulations on doing 200 episodes. That's a lot for a podcast. And how many years is it? Is it 2 years now?
I think the end of the year will be 3. We've done like 2.5. Yeah. Because so technically you're episode 267.
68.
No, this will be 67. That was 66.
67? Okay, cool.
This will be episode 267.
Yeah.
So yeah.
3.5 years, I feel like.
So it's gonna be very soon until we hit 300 right after our 200, because we just numbered them stupid. I just numbered them stupid. But yeah. So
are you going to renumber them then? Or I'm
not going to renumber them. It's just last episode will be number 200 and this episode will be number 267. And people will think they lost 67 episodes, but they didn't.
Yeah,
it's just going to be in order. Yeah. So good times. And your hair is much shorter. You got your ears lowered.
Yep, got the summer cuts because of the definite heat and humidity down here in Florida.
Beautiful.
Is it like 80 degrees, 80% humidity every single day?
It's like 85 to 95, and then like 95% humidity. So,
does it rain every single day?
It pretty much rains every day around 3 p.m. For about an hour or so, and just makes it oppressively muggy outside.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
So Florida's obviously the worst, because it's way worse than what I'm about to say, because it's by the ocean. But the only things I miss on the East Coast, because I used to live on the East Coast, Northeast, very close to the ocean. The only things I miss are fireflies, because for some reason there aren't any in California, and thunderstorms. And it wasn't like in the summer, it wasn't daily thunderstorms, but it was like every 3 to 4 days. So instead of like the daily buildup of humidity, it took 3 to 4 days, but then you'd get like an entire day of just thunderstorms. One nice day, 2 muggy days, and then thunderstorms. So I do miss the thunderstorms.
Nice.
I think I've heard thunder once out here in like...
Yeah, we don't get thunderstorms here. It rains a lot. It's raining probably right now, and it's like 50 degrees outside. So
you don't get thunderstorms in the PNW?
Nope.
That's unfortunate.
Just rains, just lightly mist. It's not even like a full rain. It's just kind of spitting on you, you know?
That's, you know what's funny when you tell people, I've said this numerous times, it's just spitting to people in California and they got no fucking clue what I mean.
Where you're just walking through a wall of water?
No, it's just kind of like spritzing, just a tiny bit, just enough to like kind of feel it a little bit, just spitting on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But a random rain tangent, apparently this one we're on. It really, it took me a little bit to realize, but the West Coast, especially California, probably culturally, because a lot of the buildings are, Mexican style buildings. There's not a lot of awnings. So when it rains, you just get wet. And on the East Coast, if it's raining outside, you could walk down like 10 city blocks and not really get wet unless you're in the road. And it really it took me, I remember the day that it was like, oh shit, like I'm wet because none of these buildings have awnings at all. You're just standing in the rain all the time because it doesn't fucking rain. But
classic.
How's Florida with awnings?
There's plenty of coverage, usually with trees and stuff like that. We live in a fairly suburban area, so not a whole lot of buildings, but yeah, if you go to, like, say you go to the grocery store, you're going to get soaked between the grocery store and the front door of your car, or the door of your car and the front door of the grocery store. Like it just, you just get soaked. So
it's so weird that it's such a completely different style of living, because like we literally used to, like, I remember being old enough to drive a car but still living at home, and like we would all, you know, go grocery shopping with my parents, and then my mom would like make me run and go get the car to bring it to the front of the grocery store because it was raining, and like, you know, I'd alternate with my older sister and who's gonna have to run through the rain to bring it in, versus again California. I can't remember last time it rained here, but you know, it is what it is. I mean, we're all going to be boiling soon, but, you know, climate change isn't real or anything, so.
no, it's all fake.
Yeah, fake news.
Yeah.
Fake news.
I'm going to see how many roads melt this year.
Yeah.
So what's new with Space Penguin Inc.? What's been going on?
We have finished primary Cairn fulfillment, so all of that out the door. Now we're taking care of folks whose packages have gotten missed or have gotten damaged in the transit. So we're replacing those and things like that. Shipping out boxes to retailers. The other day, exciting, I shipped out my first pallet from here.
Ooh.
Debbie and I, like, she actually stayed home and helped me build the pallet and wrap it all up. It's kind of fun for those who've never shipped a pallet out of residential. Hopefully you have a good driver, and we did, and he was really super nice, and he had a powered hand truck and a lift gate on his truck, and so he got everything out really quick, and avoided the rain, which was good. We are currently, Debbie is in process of fulfilling Survivors of the Core Wars, our NPC deck for Mothership. So y'all should be going out in the mail this week, which is pretty good.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah. I think that's gonna be the first thing from Mothership Month that's gonna physically hit us, because I backed like 9 of those things. Yeah. But so that'll be,
I think a couple more have hit. One of the ones that was UK based, I think, already fulfilled, because I talked to Luke Gearing about it, and he said he already got one. But
maybe I didn't back that one. Yeah, maybe.
We'll be in the first few that will fulfill. So
nice.
And then it comes with a cool sticker. It comes with a cool patch. Everything all usual.
Nice.
Wait a second. Mothership Project has a patch?
Has a patch with it? Unheard of.
Crazy.
It was our first patch, and I learned how to do it. I learned how to do it pretty well. So, and I found a good place, thanks to Marco, told me about this place called what is it called? I can't even remember now. Not the Shield. Anyway, the studio. The studio.
Right, gotcha.
And they were super easy to work with and turned our patch around in no time flat, which was pretty cool. We're not going to do a whole lot of those, just because even though we do Mothership stuff, like, say it's a requirement of Mothership Month to do a patch or something like that, we'll probably do another one like that. But normally we just don't, because we like to try to be able to ship media mail if we can, if at all possible. So it just really depends on what goes in those packages, because if you put a patch in there, you can't ship it. You're not supposed to ship it media mail. I know a lot of people do, but
if you get caught, man, they're gonna say no.
Well, what they'll do is they'll remove your ability to drop off that mail at that spot, and then you'll have another spot to drop it off at, and then that just complicates your life because if I didn't have my local post office to go to every morning at 8:30, right when they opened, I don't know what I would do with myself.
Yeah.
What now would something like this be able to go in media mail, or does it specifically has to be like a zine? Like for those in podcast land, just like a card?
Technically, that's an advertisement, so it's not supposed to go. It's supposed to be 8 pages or more, and it has to be bound.
Ooh.
in order to be media mail. So
that's
like
that writing on it as well, right?
Yeah, an 8-page zine works, but anything short of an 8-page zine. So when you send out stuff like pamphlets, you're not supposed to send those out, media mail and things like that. it's all kind of check with your local post office, and they'll give you a thing about and tell you exactly what you can ship medium mail and what cannot. Some places tend to like let you slide stuff through. Unfortunately for us, mine doesn't down here, so we've always just shipped Ground Advantage, unless it was actually medium mail, if it was just a book. So
but I mean, you know, except for the people running the government right now, respect your local post office. I mean, you know, it makes sense to a point. Like the reason media mail was a thing, so as people could like share books and maintain intelligence and all those kind of things. So it's like, it's, you know, be a little sneaky, but don't be too sneaky, I guess. For the listeners, you know. Yeah.
So we've got Survivors of the Core Wars going out right now, and then after that will be Ghosts of 𝗖𝗵𝘁 𝗖𝗵𝘁 will be going out. We had a minor snafu with that one. Your boy here put in a stretch goal of a ribbon bookmark and then failed to tell his printers to put in a ribbon bookmark in that book. So in order to make that up to all of you lovely backers, we have printed the stretch goal that we did not meet, which was the Sellers, which was a pamphlet that 𝗏𝗏𝗧 did. For it's like another expansion for the inside of one of the houses. It's the cell, cool. One of the houses. So we've done that instead. So hopefully no one's too upset. We'll of course refund if people really wanted that ribbon bookmark in their book, but I don't see a whole lot of people being upset about a ribbon being missed. I think most people would probably rather get
more content,
something they can actually use. Seems to me to make more sense over something. It's a pretty slim book. It's 88 pages as well. So it's like, it didn't really need the ribbon in the first place, in my opinion, but we did put it on there. So, and then I screwed up and didn't do it. So for all of you in podcast land listening, that you can blame me.
Well, just go to your local, not Joanne Fabrics because they're gone. Whatever fabric store you have left, are there any that are still around? Does Michael still exist? Get a little strip of fabric, put a little glue in, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Glue the pages of your book together.
All of them. Yeah. And then that's not this one though. A different one.
It'll be fine. Yeah.
Right.
It'll be good.
You mean you can glue them together, and it would be fun to try to figure out how to get the glue off without ruining it.
Yeah. I mean, a real adventure.
Yeah. You don't quite get like the 𝗡𝗏𝗏 nightmares crack with that, I don't think.
No, it's more of a rip. Oh shit!
Yeah. So, and then what's coming up after 𝗖𝗏𝗂 𝗖𝗵𝘁?
So currently in the works is Liminal Horror Deluxe Edition. We're getting ready to send away to order up a proof copy of that. The interiors aren't completely laid out, but we're ordering a proof with blank pages and whatnot, so we can measure weights and things like that, so we can get that backer kit pre-order store set up. That's kind of what it's waiting on. We just had Zach did a rough cover version, just so we can see what the cover is going to possibly look like, and then I'm going to order a sample copy, and then we'll be able to do tweaks and stuff like that. It's a big book. It's 432 pages. So there's going to be a lot of tweaking those gutters. In a normal liminal horror book, there's plenty of room for the gutters anyway, but you want to just make sure that you're not running the risk of running stuff into the gutters.
Yeah.
Important. Data gutters, people. Remember your margins.
Yep.
We've definitely talked about that on the show before. And then what's after Liminal Horror Deluxe?
After Liminal Horror Deluxe, coming up this Tuesday is Hope is for the Dead, which you have the flyer there for, which is the infection scenario Forbidden Psalm that Will has created. Excuse me. and it's really, really solid. It's got a great new noise mechanic so that you can possibly be overrun at the end of a scenario, and it's got some really cool decoy mechanics, so you leave someone behind, and if you wanted to, you can actually cinematically play that out and have that last person make their last stand, which is pretty cool, pretty good zombie flick, if you ask me.
So I have actually been putting stuff on the shelves, and this, do you see this shelf I'm pointing to right now? In podcast land you can't, but you see all that?
Yep.
That entire shelf is Forbidden Psalm.
Hell yeah.
Yep. It is 2/3 of the shelf, and then I have the Last War box, the minis box from War Games Atlantic.
Yeah.
So very, very lots of stuff.
And there's more coming.
Cannot wait.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, that goes live on Tuesday the 24th, and runs for a month. And then after that, I think we might be taking part of the fall off. As far as crowdfunding, we've got a loot gearing book that's in the works right now. It's a smaller volume. That may or may not go to crowdfund. I think it's probably going to go to crowdfund to help us print a larger print run of it. And then
can you say what that's what area of TTRPGs that's going to be in, or not?
So it's an adventure module that you can slot into most of your classic medieval fantasy type stuff. If you want to, you can plop it anywhere you want on a map. Nice. It's called War Unsepultured, and he wrote it a couple years ago, and it's just been in production for that long. And it's another slim volume, but I really think going with these nice lighter hardcovers that we can build, where you have a shitload of adventure packed in there with good design and good page layout and good reads and leads. I think that's kind of what we're heading towards. We're still going to put zines out every month, but we want to tend towards larger books as things go. Not as large as like a 432 page Liminal Horn Deluxe. That's something we'll do like once a year, once every couple of years, but leaning more towards the 60 to 120 page count. Yeah. So that's
why. So I know you guys, I mean, we've been talking about this since the beginning, and it's been really cool to talk to you since like really early in Space Penguin with like, because you've taught us all so much about like the way publishing works and like how you have to like kind of like level up in publishing to be able to get like farther and farther with your reach. Is that part of it? Is that to be able to have like more kind of like hefty stuff on shelves in bigger places as opposed to just zines? Or
that's one of the biggest things we hear from retailers when we go to ACD Expo, which ACD is our largest distributor. They're the second largest in the States, and they cover something like, they have like 6,000 accounts or something like that, game stores, brick and mortars, stuff like that. And that's the biggest thing we hear from retailers is if it doesn't have a spine, it's hard to merchandise. So, as a company that does primarily zines, we're well aware of that. And, we've come up with solutions over the past several years, and several of us, and my good friend Beckett Lauren has come up with several solutions for retailers over time as well. It's just one of those, if your book's got a spine, it's easier to shelve, so it's easier to see, and then people can pull it out and kind of look at it.
Totally makes sense.
Well, that's why my zines are on this giant spinner rack here, instead of on the shelves. So,
and some places have spinner racks and things like that, like comic books. It's the same thing that comic book retailers dealt with, and so one of the solutions is a comic book waterfall where it kind of spills off the wall and stuff like that. And so there have been several retail spots that have adapted or adopted acrylic wall holders and things like that to work in that fashion, and spinner racks and other possible merchandising, so where you can see the full cover of the thing.
Gotcha. But also nice to have spine books, and that's kind of why you're going that direction.
Yeah, it's fun. If we could put out a new hardcover every month, believe me, I would be putting out a new hardcover every month. That would be super awesome and super amazing. I don't know where I would find the time to do that.
Yeah, seems like a tall order there.
Yeah.
And then you were saying something after the loot gearing project for the potential crowdfund.
There's a large fantasy book called 𝗡𝗢𝗂, which is a city kit book in order to build, to help you build a city for your fantasy games. Written by Chris Ramdeen, who wrote Old School Stylish and 𝗡𝗎𝗓. And that's going to be a big one that might come out. It might go to crowdfund this year. It might go to crowdfund early next year. We'll see. It's been in development for a while too, so can't really talk too much about that one yet because we're not quite sure exactly what the final thing's going to be. But it's definitely going to have a bunch of NPCs, like 108 NPCs, and then a way to build your own city of really cool and awesome stuff. So
it's awesome. Got some fun, sounds like system agnostic stuff coming down the pipe, which will be neat.
Yeah, definitely leaning more towards stuff that you can slot into whatever. Of course, supporting our main lines, Forbidden Psalm and Liminal Horror, but also just coming out with more stuff that you can use with whatever else. Stella the other day posted up the back of someone's book. I can't quite remember who, but it says compatible with role playing, which I think is awesome. It just needs to things are compatible with role playing as opposed to a specific system, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. System agnostic is always interesting, especially like in the OSR space, because one of the qualities of like at least the through line of what is kind of pre 2019 OSR is that they are all compatible roughly. Like the dice mechanics are roughly ish the same, and there's just some subsystems that are a little bit different. Things are a little bit different now, so you can't really just give like monsters in hit dice, so it's cool to get newer system agnostic stuff that you really can just like toss into any rule system whatsoever, and still be able to run it, whether it's adventures or like a city building thing, because there's some stuff that's out like that does like city building, like I think Session Citadel is a big city builder, but it'd be really cool to get a different take on being able to build like a whole city and stuff.
Cool. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, gonna be neat. And then so that sounds like that's the year for Space Penguin Inc. So potentially 2 more crowdfunds on top of at some point I assume your home losing multiple rooms again to giant boxes with Liminal Horror in it. But new releases. You got something out this month right now. I think it's been out for like 10 days ish. What are we talking about today that you can grab from Space Penguin Inc.?
We're talking about Empire of Hatred by Sam Sorenson. And that's actually Sam on the cover.
Mine's downstairs.
So it's a hexcrawl, ostensibly written for MÖRK BORG, but usable with pretty much any system. It's got this really great hex map in the front that covers the different terrain types and different locations and things. Then it has your crawl procedure and how long it takes to travel over certain types of landscape and things like that. And then each of the different textures, each of the different zones, areas, has its own weather and encounter table. So like hexcrawl should. And then your main hexes are keyed. So yeah.
Yeah. It's very much, it's MÖRK BORG, but kind of like compatible with MÖRK BORG, but not necessarily, from what I read, and maybe I'm completely wrong and I just missed a bunch of stuff. It's not like, this isn't like a hex crawl across Galgenbeck or anything. Like this is like a completely different kind of like generated world, right? Like I know that the Sam on their Blue Sky and even on the Space Marine page talked about, they used a lot of, if not almost all of the things from 𝗏𝗃 and 𝗏𝗏, the early MÖRK BORG zines, and also some feats and relics from a couple other things too. And it's very much like it's almost like a religious kind of, not pilgrimage, but you're trying to like have this kind of like holy emperor and like delivering like an item across for them. It's really interesting. It's very, I can't think of another giant hexcrawl for MÖRK BORG.
Yeah, I think it might be the first one.
Yeah.
Someone will probably point out that there's already been several, but who knows? But yes, it uses those items by just mentioning them, and all of the items and the monsters are available and freely available MÖRK BORG first party content and third and second party content that you can find on the MÖRK BORG website. So you can, the intent is you have your hexcrawl and you have your weather procedure, and then you're traveling across, and then if you need to, then you reference the MÖRK BORG book, or you reference 𝗏𝗏 or Heretic or the 𝗡𝗏𝗏 Reliquary and things like that.
It's neat to specifically be able to, like, if you're going to use all of that, it's cool that it's all freely available content, because like most of MÖRK BORG's first party stuff is free anyway, which is awesome, of Free League and 𝗏𝗏 and everything. But that's just a really interesting thing. I mean, you do have to like dig through 4 books to find all the stuff, but it's neat that you don't have to pay for anything else. If you just pay I think $15 for the zine or $10 for the PDF, getting to be able to use all of those things is really, really cool, as opposed to just maybe having one as like an adventure starter or something. Having access to all of the monsters, adventures, relics, feats. I mean, some of the feats, it's like, yes, you can use them, but one of them is literally like jump off a mountain that's 10,000 feet high. If you survive, you get a feat. So it's really neat. But and like you said, that's Sam right there on the cover, yelling real loud at you. So what, have you guys published any MÖRK BORG prior to this? I'm trying to think of anything you guys put out that was MÖRK BORG content.
Forbidden Psalm was totally
well,
I mean,
originally built around MÖRK BORG.
Yeah.
This is the first thing for MÖRK BORG that we've done.
We're gonna have to get an 𝗏𝗏 skirmish game after this, compatible with 𝗏𝗏.
I'll send Will a copy and have him make one up, and he'll like turn me over a completed book in like a week.
Yeah, I was gonna say a day later you'll have the entire thing done. It's crazy. Like, he finishes in a day what I've like not finished in 4 years, and it'll never not boggle my mind how good the quality is after that as well.
Yeah.
And then I know, you know, Sam's put out a bunch of stuff. I know. Oh, I was just gonna ask, like, have you guys ever put anything from Sam before? But
Seas of Sand.
Seas of Sand was a big thing from Sam before as well. I have it literally sitting on the top right there, and that was also kind of like a big like hexcrawl-ish or like giant thing that you can use with things, right?
Yeah, it's like a big sail and sands thing, you know.
Yep, exactly. Sam goes big or doesn't go, it feels like, on these big books. He definitely understands the expanse. He's actually running a war game for us right now called 𝗏𝗏, and it's a play by posts, so it deals with a lot of fog of war. So we just have like forum posts and things like that, and he drew this huge map and all these armies and things like that, and he must be playing the game 24/7, like, to be able to run it for us. Because there's currently, I want to say we broke the 30 commander mark. So there's like 30 different armies going across, and so he's got to be keeping track of this on a map at his house, like where he's at. And then we're supposed to be keeping track on our own little maps, and we don't get the whole map of the whole area. You get like a fog of war map, which makes it very interesting for a play-by-post. And we've been playing that for like 3 months, I think.
That's pretty cool.
How many people are in that?
I think there's like 30 plus right now.
Oh, you said 30 commander. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you're running 30 people through anything play by post, the only thing I've ever done by post, you mean like Discord, or you mean like, are you mailing letters?
By Discord.
You got it. Just imagine if it's all just like mailing letters, but you like tea stain all of them and like burn the edges and do like a whole thing every time. That'd be insane. I mean, it'd take a year and a half just to do like one round, but that'd be really neat. I had a question and then I said something stupid and then I completely forgot what my question was about it. Oh, so no maps is what you said. There's also a thing in this, like very clearly right off the bat, it says like all the contents of the caravan you're with, and you get no map. So you're really just wandering around this hex until you figure out where the heck you're going. Which I think is interesting because basically the entire book from like page 1 on is just like, there's like a page of like loot and like what's going on. And then the entire book is just keys and like random encounters in different locations and stuff like that. It very much fits that kind of like, obviously it's not, I mean, it's for MÖRK BORG, so it's like system agnostic, but that same kind of idea of just like, you could theoretically play any system with this and just run it because most of the things, you know, even if you go to MÖRK BORG, it's really easy to do into any system. So it's just like a giant, like 50-page hexcrawl, which is neat.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, because it's got weather procedures and it's got your encounter tables. So as you're going through a hex, if you go through a non-keyed hex, then you're expected to, you know, roll reaction, roll surprise as you normally do for whatever system that you're using and things like that. So like I said, like while it's written for MÖRK BORG, it's also usable with pretty much any system.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Legs, you know?
Yeah.
Does give it some legs. And I think Sam also said on their Blue Sky, this might be the first TTRPG with like a picture of the creator on the cover.
Yeah.
Could be.
I can't think of one. I do like that the cover is like, I guess like a quote unquote virgin cover on the front, like no logo treatments, no like anything like that, which is really cool. It's just a shot. It's definitely very unique comparatively.
Yeah, so, I want to ask retailers how it does in stores, because I bet once it gets in stores, I bet it grabs MÖRK BORG fans and things like that.
Well, it's a very Borg picture. I definitely like if you held this up and asked me to guess which game this was for, I feel like that would be my first guess. So I think they definitely, you know, met the prompt with that, which is good. And then the map, which you said before, like as you said, like go big or go home, I guess. And that's a shitload of hexes.
Yeah.
It's a shitload of hexes.
For
those in podcast land, watch the show or go buy the game. But yeah, I will be curious if someone's like, actually, like there's 4 other, I mean, there's 8,000 MÖRK BORG projects are compatible with MÖRK BORGs. So I'm sure someone put a hexcrawl on a shower curtain or something by now, but it is interesting.
A really good idea. I kind of want that.
With the hexcrawl on the shower curtain?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Just put this hexcrawl on a shower curtain. I mean, it makes sense. It's got the right size.
Really nice. And then you just use dry erase markers or wet erase markers in your shower wall, and you just mark where you're at on which hex as you're playing through it.
There you go.
Play in the shower.
Always be gaming. Always be gaming, even when you're showering.
Even when you're showering. Well, I mean, it sounds like with the amount of stuff that 𝗏𝗏𝗏 is going, Sam must be doing it in the shower as well, or he's not getting anything done.
Right.
And well, there's one thing that I don't know. We talked a little bit about the beginning, but you said this is future. Am I allowed to ask what's on the other side of this card? I forgot if that was.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So this Run from the Dark folk horror role play. What's the story with this?
So that's Will's Welsh folklore inspired fantasy role playing game. Coming out, probably going to hit crowdfund sometime later this year. And he's working on getting a grant to get it translated into Welsh as well.
Oh, awesome.
Which is really cool. Yeah. Can't tell you too much about it yet because I haven't read it yet. But it's it pretty much uses Wales as a map, but then kind of not. And it's 2 is going to be in black and white, maybe some red, but more. It's its own system from the ground up, so you don't have to worry about being able to piece it together with something else. So
that's awesome. It's gonna be really neat to see what Will does with a tabletop role playing game, because obviously, like, they know how to design whatever, but pretty much everything that people know them for is Forbidden Psalm, and the skirmish game aspect of it and stuff, and that is compatible based on MÖRK BORG. So I'm really, really excited to see. Like, I just, more than anything, I'm just like, what's the dice mechanic? Are we doing D20 roll under? Are we doing 2D6? Like, that's what I'm really, really excited to be like. Will, who's, like we all said, whose work we really enjoy, I want to know, like, the first game, the first big game, like, what do they jump onto? So I'm very curious. I think I did get, they did send me a little preview of something. And I will say the layout looks fantastic already. Yeah. So very excited for that. So that's potentially 3 crowdfunds this year then for you, potentially, possibly, maybe 3 more
Possibly.
on top of the multis you've already done. That's yeah. Remember like a year ago when you're like, we don't really want to do crowdfunds.
Yeah. We've just figured out how to do them and land them and in the appropriate amount of time. We were 2 months late on Cairn. We said March, and it was more like the end of May, which, and we all know in crowdfund and Kickstarter land, that's actually not that bad.
It's not bad at all. It's surprisingly good. Yeah.
But it was still frustrating me because I really wanted it to land in March. Now we've figured out how to adjust that, but adjust for that. Now we're giving more quarters as opposed to an actual month, and shading in more time for when it actually, some of these bigger ones like Cairn and Liminal Horror Deluxe, where we've got like 2,000 plus 4,000 in the case of Cairn, backers. It doesn't change the work that goes into the creation of the thing. It changes the work on the fulfillment side of things. And so we've learned how to scale our time to better fit that. If we didn't have 4,000 copies of Cairn to ship out, we probably would have been done in March. If it was closer to 1,000, it probably would have been done in March. But it's just the sheer volume of the work. There's only so many hours in a day with 2 people doing this, and Debbie doing the majority of the packaging, because of how she hand stamps every box and things like that. It just definitely takes more person hours to do these bigger ones. So, but we've been able to stick the landing on Survivors of the Core Wars, and Zoazan is going to come out pretty shortly thereafter. And I think I had said that those would be in people's hands in Q3. So it'll be the beginning of Q3 shortly. So I kind of figured out how to do those, which is good. I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah.
I mean, at this point with any crowdfunds, like if it comes out within 6 months of like the day you said it would, that's really great, considering
massive success.
Considering the number of projects that are literally years late.
Yeah. It'll be out in 2 years. Don't worry.
Yeah. Or they'll just stop answering the comments and stuff and disappear. But do you think you're gonna get to a point, or is the hope, or if you even want to get to a point where you have like a warehouse and like workers doing this, or do you want to stay at the size where it's you and Debbie?
I think we're going to stay at the size where it's me and Debbie for a while, probably for a couple of years. We're talking about a relocation at some point, possibly. And once we get that relocation, we're going to need a couple more years in that space. If we get a larger space to work out of and have all our storage at the same place, which would be really cool. But I don't see us hiring on more people. I see us being able to pay ourselves a little bit better.
Good.
And Di, our collaborator for the marketing, at some point in the future. and but sticking with us is the best way, just because we know what we're doing and we know how to do it. We need to do it several years in a row, in my opinion, before we try to bring on other people to physically help with that aspect of it. So
gotcha. Now what? Now let's say for the sake of argument, what happens if something just goes off and you end up with like 8,000, 10,000 backers on something? Like, would you just do it in like bigger waves, or what would?
We could potentially look at a 3PL, third-party logistics company, to help out with that. Someone like Flying Cloud, or Quartermaster Logistics, someone that does that sort of thing. But I had originally thought that that's what it would take to do Cairn, but we proved that we can do Cairn, which was 4,000
box chats. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, it's just, I think probably 5,000 would be about the mark where we would be strongly considering a third-party logistics company to do it, for like a board game, one of the board games one of these years, if we get there. That might be definitely something that we look forward to. But no, I think we know our limits, and we know how to tell people when they're going to get their stuff, which I think is the most important thing to be able to do in this business when you're crowdfunding, is to be able to try to hit those marks. And I think we've proved to ourselves that we can do it for X amount of copies. But yeah, if we were at like the 8,000 copy mark or something like that, I definitely would be looking at shipping that sort of work to a 3PL, just because we'd still need to do our monthly zines and other smaller projects, and being able to keep up with everything. So if we had a smashing success of like 8,000 or 10,000, yes, we would consider switching that off.
Gotcha. You just reminded me too. I don't think we've told you at all, and the episode dropped like an hour ago. So, but we're changing the show up a ton. I need to change this window too. Remind me to change this one, Hunter.
Okay.
The Weekly Scroll tabletop podcast, what we're going to be. So we're going to be talking not just about TTRPGs, but war games, skirmish games. I know we've talked about Forbidden Song, but more so. And also board games. And I totally escaped me until you said that you are a huge board game person. So
Yeah,
we're going to have to, we're going to have you on for more than just not cat chats, and actually come on and talk about some old, new, and crazy board games here on the show.
Can we talk about like 1970s sports games?
Whatever you want.
Sure.
Whatever you want. Yeah.
Baseball 1896, I think.
I knew that's what you were going to say too, because you've talked about that one before.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That sounds literally like exactly the kind of board game we want to talk about on the show. We specifically were talking about bringing in more like 70s and 80s TTRPGs too, like Bunnies and Burrows and stuff. So some like 1980s baseball board game, 100%. We'll talk about that.
Nice. So, I would love to get to one of these days. I'm going to be able to play that.
Yeah. I mean, I wish. We'll have to bring it next time we're at a con together, and we'll sit down and play it, and we'll get it figured out.
It's probably pretty bad, to be honest with you.
That's okay. It was a lot of fun.
Fun is fun, man. Like, if something is so bad, like, there's only a very narrow window where something is so bad you can't enjoy it, because like it either it's okay enough to be good, or so bad it's fun. It has to be like a perfect amount of like shitty to actually be bad and to not enjoy it. So as long as it's slightly one way or the other, I think we'll be good.
Nice. We'll make it fun.
Yeah. Come up with a list. I know we've already said come up with a list of older TTRPGs you want to talk about, but board games for sure. I know that's a passion of yours and something that we want to start expanding into. So we'll definitely start we hitting you up for those.
I have one that's just called tennis.
Tennis.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Let's do it. I know Kobayashi commented, because we're going to start doing solo games too. A joust based solo game. like that's called like flying ostriches and flying somethings and other. I don't know if you guys played. Hunter, I don't know if you played Joust. Have you ever played Joust?
No.
When I was a kid, we had Super Nintendo, and then you would get like you could buy cartridges that just had like 10 old arcade games on them. And my favorite one was always like number 2 or whatever, and had Joust. And it's basically like you're flying an ostrich, but you're like as if you're like a knight with a lance, and you just have to get like the right angle where you're slightly higher than them to beat them, and you're just like shooting at each other, like jousting on flying ostriches and stuff.
Sounds sick.
It sounds sick.
Joust is a pretty amazing arcade game. It's pretty fun. And
I
there's
really
like
want to see.
Well, there's some deep lore behind it too, behind those ostriches and why they fly and the different things that you run into on the different boards.
I'm gonna be on Wikipedia for the rest of the day. Thanks so much. But apparently there's a solo adventure game based on it, so I definitely have to check that out. So yeah. Gosh, is that everything? I mean, every time we. Oh yeah, that's right. You did have a heart out. That is, I think everything that's going on right now is 𝗡𝗲 𝗖𝗵𝘁, right?
Yep. Kārn box set goes to retail, so it's available in our stores starting this Wednesday and available in stores starting this as soon as that pallet arrives in Texas and gets split up between ACD's warehouses. People can pick that up at like their favorite bookshops and game shops, and we had a bunch of retailers who backed online and offline, and we've restocked a couple of people already, so that's pretty cool. That is pretty much what's been going on with Space
Cool.
Museum.
So snag the Kārn box set as soon as you see that. If you didn't back it before, go grab Empire of Hatred right now from Sam Sorenson over on 𝗡𝗲 𝗖𝗵𝘁. And that's gonna be us for today, because I totally forgot Hunter has to go to work at his new job.
My heart out was 8 minutes ago, so I gotta go.
So Jerk,
So,
it was always a pleasure.
everyone.
And we will see everybody in like 2 days. Bye, everybody.
Bye.